This time on Makers and Shakers, we got What's Up Picciuto, the top 5 video countdown, tool of the week, relationship advice for woodworkers, and more. Check it. Welcome, my friends, to episode number 4 of Makers and Shakers, a show that highlights people shaking it up in the world of woodworking, art, metal, crafts, and building. How are you doing today? I'll be making a cool, refreshing mudslide. Check this out. What have I been up to? Earlier this week, I put out a video on making this coffee table with a lift top and aluminum legs. Making the legs didn't require a welder, just a blowtorch and some soldering. I got a lot of questions on the strength of the soldering joints, so I did a follow-up video doing a strength test here. I will put the links to those 2 videos down below. Man, that is so good. I also got to spend some time at the Warther Museum in Dover, Ohio. This is the museum of Mooney Warther, who lived between 1885 and 1973 and made these crazy beautiful carvings, at first out of soup bones and walnut, and then moved on to ivory and ebony. Oh man, I have to admit that I'm not much into carving, but seeing his work in person was an inspiring event. Seeing his dedication and extreme passion changed the way I view my craft. I'm not joking, it was really an awesome experience. If you are ever in Dover, Ohio, you must check out this museum. Whatever your passion is, this will inspire you, and seeing his tiny workshop just may change the way you think about tools. It was so cool. Thank you so much to my stepdad for taking me there. Cheers. All right, it is time for the top 5 video countdown. Coming in at number 5 with the Adirondack chair by Jackman Carpentry. Check it. Oh man, Paul's videos are really well done, and he is getting very creative with his editing. Please check out his channel. Good stuff. Number 4, how to make a ring light for a GoPro by I Like to Make Stuff.
I had this NeoPixel ring from Adafruit, and I realized that it fit perfectly around the lens of a GoPro. I'm going to drive this with an Arduino compatible wires when you're ready. A potentiometer is a variable resistor. You do power in from one side, ground on the other side, and then the lead in the middle. The battery pack puts out 5 volts, which is exactly what the trinket needs. Plug it in, and it was working. I decided to use some transparent filament, and this would act as both the case and the diffusion ring for the LEDs. Works great. Now to try it in the dark. So this actually
what I like about Bob's channel is his combination of different crafts. This guy is just doing incredible stuff. Number 3, the Vampire Spike Table by Core 77.
That rod was 5 feet long, probably was about 180 bucks. And here we are on my new South Bend lathe. It's new to me, but it was built in 1944, and it's been drying in the house. It was leaning on the wall in the house for a while, and then we put it outside. Do it again, and then once I get started, then I give it the angle. And all 3 angles are sort of random. Steel cut nails, that was my original vision, so like big forged nails. And I was going to trim them originally and have that mush be closer to the surface of the table. But I love the way this looks.
Jimmy is now making some talkie videos for Core 77. This is a little bit different than his own channel where he doesn't talk, so it's great to hear his vocal perspective on some of his projects. Number 2, make some salad tongs by Garage Woodworks.
Down to 220 grit, and I finished it with a coat of millage tongue wheel finish. which is a mixture of tung oil and beeswax, and it's food safe, so there's no worries. The only thing left to do now is to try it out. So let's see how well this works.
Brian gives such great step-by-step instructions in his videos. Good stuff right there, good stuff. And coming in at number 1, the Sliced Wood Clock by Peter Brown. Take a look.
Add a spacer, cut a kerf, flip the board. Just give it a little bit of a relief cut and take away some material. And it actually, I've got a piece of walnut here, and I'm just going to turn it into a hub. It's a keeper. So I wanted to challenge myself, and I think this project definitely did.
That is so cool. Peter's channel is just one of my favorites, and that is one of the reasons why. He loves experimenting, he loves showing his failures. It's just good stuff all around. Good job, Peter. All of these videos are in a playlist down below, along with 5 extra videos not shown here, so please check that out. Before we get into the next segment, I'd like to remind you that you can support this show by contributing on Patreon. $1 a month is all I ask, and that gets you advanced viewings of my videos, as well as an ad-free and extended version of this episode each week. That is right, only Patreon supporters get an extended version of this show. Let's move along. It is time for the Amazon Tool of the Week. Every week I show you a tool that I personally use and provide you an Amazon link to that tool. Purchasing anything on Amazon through the provided link helps support this show. And this week's tool is the Kreg Trak and Stop Kit. I get asked a lot about my table saw sled, and this is what makes my sled what it is. Besides my crosscut sled, this is more commonly used on miter saws and drill presses and radial arm saws. I got one on my table saw sled, and this one is going to go on a new miter saw whenever I get a new miter saw. It's kind of pricey, coming in at $124, but it is really well built and will definitely last the life of your machine. Earlier this week on Facebook and Twitter, I asked you to ask me for relationship advice. Here we go. Is it okay to lie to your wife about the price that you paid for your tools? It is never okay, Joseph, to lie to your wife, but it is totally okay to hide purchases. Is it wrong to spend more money on your shop than your wife? Brian, I think you need to ask yourself, who do you love more? Randy asks, how do I ignore my family to spend more time in the shop? That is super easy. You just tell them that you are making them things in the shop. But we all know you're just dilly-dallying, watching porn. Should you hide the Festool in plain sight? Dan. You already broke the first rule of Festool. Never let your family know how much a Festool tool costs. For all they know, that it could be the cheapest tool out there and that you got it from Harbor Freight. Come on, Dan. Rookie mistake. You need a new blade. She needs to go to the hair salon. Bank account says only one can be done. Do I get the blade and attempt to cut her hair on the radial arm saw? Willie, no. No. Relationships are all about compromise, Willie. You have to give a little before you can take a little. So, here's what I suggest. Find the cheapest salon in your town, send her there. Then, instead of getting a new blade, get a new radial arm saw. How many dinners out will it take to make up for the fact that she might never be able to park in the garage again? Bruce, I have a question for you. How's your wife's cooking? Does it suck? Then dinners out is a good thing, all right? Come on. Michael asks, when's the best time in the relationship to introduce your significant other to your woodworking shop process? And the answer to that is whenever you want that process interrupted. How do I convince my chick that a new table saw is way cooler than a Tiffany diamond necklace she thinks she deserves? Well, I would start off by not calling her your chick. Wife stores stuff in same room as shop. Stuff gets dusty. Do I tell her comes with a territory or upgrade the dust collection? Mark, upgrade your dust collection, throw your wife's stuff in the trash, and tell her that comes with the territory. And finally, as a man, I am obligated to buy flowers for special occasions. Should the ladies be reciprocating with new tools? When you go down for flowers, she should also go down for tools. If you are new to the show, please subscribe, as I also put out how-to videos here on YouTube, and you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. On my website, you'll find even more tutorials as well as plans, project kits, stickers, t-shirts, and more. And if that isn't enough, I also make a weekly audio podcast with Jimmy Daressa and Bob Cleggett, and this week we talk all about the software we use for our projects and shows. I will be at Woodworking in America in Kansas City September 25th and 26th. If you're in the area, please stop out and say hey. You can also pre-order my book, the new Bandsaw box book, on Amazon. It comes out September 15th in a bookstore near you. The link will be down in the description. Patreon members, be sure to stick around for your extra content. That is it, folks. Be safe, stay passionate, and make something.